Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is basically of various topics, dated April 12th, 2024, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. And this lesson is pretty much inspired by several things that I've been dealing with today. One of them basically was a clip and then also a video that the brother Yashalom sent me on pretty much AI making music, and pretty much what that's going to do is it's going to knock a lot of these producers and different individuals out the box, because now you have AI producing music and songs and stuff better than some of the actual artists. I also wanted to touch. I've been lately, Spirit been having me watch, for the last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks or so. Spirit's been having me watch a lot of these financial movies that came out, back in 2013, I think 2015, and recent ones. And just wanted to touch on a few things dealing with that, Lord's will, and then also, which I'm not going to really speak on it, but Captain Tazariak had a debate. I'm not sure if that was today or another day, and they just had it go live today, but it was live, so it had to be today. And pretty much he was debating Shaka Amos, and I just say it like this, man. Apostle Tar has been saying it, and I agree. It's a waste of time debating these individuals, because how many years it's been that Shaka knows about the truth, know about the Israelites, and he's still into that Kemet stuff. So what are you really accomplishing? But anyway, be it as it may, let's get into it. The video here, I put this in the description box. I only watched some of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. But it's audio, music, AI is mind blowing. And pretty much this individual is showing you songs that he created using AI, which means that no longer does it take producers and artists to sit down and come up with concepts, titles, beats, and all of that, because it's all done through AI. You just type in pretty much what you want, what type of song you want. If you want a hip hop beat, if you want a house beat, if you want an R&B beat, or whatever the case may be. And then it'll even put lyrics to it and even singing in it also, if you want singing in it. So pretty much what that's doing, because when I first heard this earlier, first thing I thought about was a scripture in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, right? Ecclesiastes 12. The point is in 4, but I'm going to start at 1, because the times we're coming into, we're going to need the Creator, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, to be with us. And this is why we push so hard the names of Yahweh and Yahushai, so that you Israelites out there that are just waking up, you can know how to get acquainted with your power, or with our power. So Ecclesiastes 12:1, remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not. Now this is twofold. This is dealing with actually in your youth, and also dealing with, the evil days representing when you get old. But also this is dealing with these times that we're about to come into, these hard times, or Jacob's trouble that we are about to come into. Nor the years draw nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. And this is not talking about the actual sun, moon, stars, and all of that. It's talking about this society, this world coming to an end. All right? It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. So now, who are the keepers of the house? The keepers of the house would be these investors, or not so much as the investors, but the individuals that, which Lord's will, we're going to get into this when we get into the other part of the video. But the individuals that invest into different stocks, they do the research, they find out what stocks are hot, what stocks are not. They find out different, situations taking place that could make their investors and themselves money, and they invest that money that was committed unto them. All right, and this is how the investors make money, and this is how those individuals that are out there doing the legwork on Wall Street get paid also. All right, shall tremble. Why? Because of the dark days ahead. And like I said, Lord's will, we get into these movies, and you'll see once you watch these financial movies that when shit gets bad, shit gets hard, Esau panics. Because all Esau knows how to do is rip people off, make their lives miserable, thrive off of the misery and the pain and the suffering of others, and when they don't have that to do, they don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know what a day of hard work is. They don't know what it is to dig a hole, dig a trench. They don't know what it is to work a manual labor. All right. So Lord's will, when we get into that part of the lesson, we could touch on that. It says, and the strong men shall bow themselves. Why? Because things are going to get hard. Like 2008 was hard, but it's not as hard as the times that are coming. You had, what was that? The crash back in 29. Times were rough and hard back then. And the only difference from then to now is the people back then were a lot stronger mentally and physically. Today, these people are not built or ready for a calamity of that magnitude, which this calamity that's come is going to be far worse than what it was back then. It says, and the grinders cease, the grinders being the jobs, cease because they are few. And when you watch these financial movies, they show you this. And like I said, Lord's will, we're going to come back to this. Matter of fact, another precept came to mind. Let me get that so I don't forget it. Just want to make sure I have that so that, all right. Then it goes on to say, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Those are the ones that are what? Investing in futures. Because it's these individuals' jobs to look at the numbers, look at the stock market. What is the stock market doing? What are these different stocks doing? What is the best investment? And you have to be able to foresee, have a vision of what this stock may do 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, and that's why it says those that the windows be darkened, those that look out of the window be darkened, because they don't see any future. And when you watch those movies, they show you it was just like a panic set in when the shit went belly up. All right, when the dog went belly up, shit got real for these devils. But like I said, Lord's will, we get into that. It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, right? Because, jobs are going to be lost. They show you that back in 2008, because we were out there in the job market back in 08, and it was rough. We traveled from Connecticut to New York to Jersey in search of work all over the place. And it was just dry. Everywhere you went, it was dry. And that was because of that financial meltdown that was taking place at the time. It says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, meaning up early in the morning. It says, and Salakia, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And this is what sparked my interest, or this is what came into mind when I was watching the other video he sent me, and a part of this video here, where you have now AI that's making music. Now I would play it, but I don't want to get a strike. I don't know if this individual has a copyright on this. It's something that the AI created, but I don't want to play it because you know how YouTube does. So you can go and watch this for yourself. And he shows you. He'll give you the examples of the music that he created using AI, and he'll take you through the process of what to do to set it off for yourself. All right. So what I did was I immediately went to the commentary just to see what they said about this particular verse here, especially the part about the daughters of music shall be brought low. Now you have to bear with me 1 second, because I have to find the exact one. I thought that's what I was doing, but I got a little sidetracked. And okay, got it. All right, so let's go. This is the Bible Hub, Ecclesiastes 12 and 4. Then, you got your different commentaries. But we want to go to the Matthew Poole commentary. Here we go. Matthew Poole commentary. And it's breaking it down. But what I want to do is I want to come down to the daughters of music. All right. Shall be brought low. It says all those senses or parts of the body which are employed in music and song, as well as those which make it, as the part of and within the mouth, as those which receive it, to wit, the ears. So basically, the music in general. This is talking about music in general. All right. It says, shall be brought low, shall be cast down from their former excellency. Because scripture speak about wine and music and make the heart merry. And music does, calm people down. It makes you, changes your mood, puts you in a better mood sometimes. But the thing is that this music and the way that the whole economy and the way of the world is going, and the creativity is going to dwindle. It's going to falter. It's not going to be as creative. You're going to have a lot of redundancy. You're going to have a lot of repetitions. When you go, those of you that are younger, you'll hear songs today, and unless your parents told you, oh, that song goes back to 1970 something, you would think that it's a brand new song. It's something new. But then when you go back, you find out that this song was remade maybe 3, 4, 5 different times in different time periods. You see? It says they are become incapable either of making music or of delighting in it. Why? Because it's garbage. That's why it says it shall be brought low. So with this, this technology that Esau is pushing out there with the AI creating music, hip hop songs and all these other different genres of music, it's it's taken away from the producers and the way that music used to be done. All right. Like back in the days before you had sampling, you would have sessions, you would have a band, and the band would go to the studio, and they would sit around. Some people would be playing the piano. Somebody might hit a guitar riff, or somebody might hum a little something or play a little something. And then from that point on, somebody else will get an idea and add something to that. And then this person will add something to that. And then maybe a few words will start coming for lyrics. And then before you know it, they're jamming away all night. And then they'll have a whole song. That type of creativity is gone now, with the sampling. There's not really many groups that go into the studio nowadays and actually play live music. Everything is sampled, for the most part. So that type of creativity is down. It was down during the time of the sampling, but now much more that you have this AI, it's really, you just type in a few things into this system here, and all of a sudden you got a song. Which makes the mind lazy. So here it is, the computer is doing the creativity for you. All right. So also what I wanted to bring out here is this. There's a book called The Ancient Romans by Chester G. Starr. All right, Chester G. Starr, The Ancient Romans. You could buy this paperback for like $5, if you want. You don't have to. It's just something that I have from, he used to be a brother at the time, was in the school. I got it from him, and when you go to the table of contents in chapter 9, they have a section called it says symptoms of decline. Now this would be on page 142 of chapter 9, symptoms of decline, right? It says cultural decline in the 2nd century. Despite the volume of literary output, many thinkers sensed in their contemporary culture a decline which modern scholars can see even more clearly. It says see pages 178 and 179, which you may go to that. Matter of fact, let me hold that on deck just in case. See what that's all about. right, I'll see if there's any meat on there. It says the first marks of this decline were the sterile coping of the sterile copying of past styles. So what are they doing? Pretty much revamping stuff. You know, you'll see a movie, right? Like you have Red Dawn that came out, and I think that was 20 something, right? And you thinking, oh, that's a pretty good, movie with Chris Hemsworth, and you like, damn, that's a bad movie. But that movie goes back to the original Red Dawn back in 1987 with Patrick Swayze, Emilio Estevez, I believe. No, not Estevez. Not Emilio. Forgot that devil's name. Sheen, or whatever his name is. Charlie Sheen. All right, and others. You know, you had other individuals in that movie. And you're thinking this is a brand new movie, but no, it's a remake. A lot of these movies you see coming out, they're remakes of other movies in the past. So what's happening? The creativity is dwindling. Why? Because prophecy states that the daughters of music will be brought low, that this whole system will be brought low, right? It says the first marks of this decline were the sterile copying of past styles. And that's why even when you watch commercials, a lot of commercials have a lot of songs from the 60s and 70s in them because they're running out. They don't have any more ideas to keep things flourishing. Why? Because we're at the end of this devil's kingdom. His rise to the top was short-lived like leprechauns. Inside joke, right? It says, Salaka for the whackness. It says, and the delight in obsolete vocabulary. Hadrian preferred an obscure epic poet and to make us to the great Homer. Men, in other words, were unable to engage in original, fresh thinking within their inherited framework. You see? So now, this book was written, see if I can find the year, 1971. So if back then, when this book was written, he made this observation, and shit was declining. Even then, shit was declining, but not as much as it did in the 90s, and the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. How much more now? So much so that, you have AI creating music now instead of actual artists. And then you have so many artists out there that, it's hard to come up with a creative song that no one has ever heard about. Everybody's heard about the woes of the ghettos. Everybody's heard about smoking some fool on the corner. Everybody's heard about, money, hoes, cars, clothes, all that bullshit. Everybody's heard of all these shits. Ain't nobody coming up with nothing creative, to pique a person's interest. So, oh, this cat is coming with some different shit. Why? Because the creativity of Babylon the Great and their music is being brought low by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Let me see if there's any more. Philosophers could assert the material prosperity was not enough to give men true peace of mind, but could not furnish new and satisfactory answers to the gnawing, sometimes unconscious problem which fretted the subjects of the Caesars. Rhetoric too often produced orations which were highly polished but without any real meaning. Empty words. It says the masses of imperial sculpture which survive in modern museums show both its superficial skill and its lack of deep originality. Just like today, there's a lack of deep originality. Let me see if there's anything in this other one. Glad peace. All right, that's the main point. All right, so the doors of music shall be brought low. And we see the creativity of this place waning. This place called America or Babylon the Great is in its waning years. And that's why you see the decline of all forms of creativity. Jobs are being, outsourced or being taken over by AI. By robots, you see? So on all levels, this place is in decline. The worm is spread under her. Not only is the infrastructure of America falling apart, but also the creativity and the upkeep, You know, the thing that makes a society thrive is all falling apart. You know, from the creativity of music, the creativity in general, the morality of people, you know, the etiquette, you know, the morals of people, everything is in decline because we're at the end of this society. All right? And America today, believe it or not, is the last empire on the planet. And this is the capital of Esau's empire today. This is the modern day Rome. All right? So, with that being said, I want to move into these movies that I've been watching. This one here is called Margin Call, right? It had a all-star cast. You know, a lot of these individuals like Kevin Spacey. You had this chick's name. Oh, they got him right here. Kevin Spacey, Paul Bettany, which is this individual here. Jeremy Irons, that's him right here. Zachary Quinto, not sure which one that is. Penn Badgley, Simon Baker, Mary McDonald, Demi Moore, which is this hoe right here, and Stanley Tucci, which is this bald head dude over here. You know, and pretty much Stanley Tucci, before he got fired because they were downsizing, he found out that there was a problem with the numbers. And he tried to warn him. He said, "No, don't worry about it. That's not your problem anymore. That's our problem now." All right. And then they show you how everything started to collapse. And what did they do? In order for them to stay on top, they got rid of a whole lot of different individuals and they sold a lot of bullshit out there to the masses of the people just so that they could stay afloat. All right. Now, in the movie, The Companyman, which I actually watched, you know, you have Ben Affleck, which we call Ben Ass Crack, Chris Cooper. You have Kevin Costner and Tommy Lee Jones. All right. And pretty much in this movie, they show you how the company, this particular company, was in decline. And they were losing money, and all of these individuals eventually got fired from their jobs. Kevin Costner was his brother-in-law, Ben Affleck's brother-in-law, that had a construction company. But these individuals, they were catching hell. And they got so bad when they lost their jobs, they didn't know what to do. You know, some were offered jobs that were like maybe half what their salary was at one point, and they didn't want to take it. This individual in the corner over here, it got so bad for him that he locked himself in the garage and turned on the car and killed himself, you know, from the carbon monoxide. And it shows you that in this guy here, Ben Affleck, the character he played, he had no skills outside of ripping people off on Wall Street, being a salesman. That's not a real job, you know. So when he put a tool belt on, or when he was out there, he didn't know what the fuck to do. He didn't know the difference between a square and a compass, a hammer, a nail, none of that. You know, and it shows you how Esau really can't deal with hard times. All right, and then this one here, The Big Short, this one shows you how that whole situation that happened in 2008 was pretty much a bunch of junk bonds. Because what Esau would do back then is they would take AAA rating bonds and they'll put a whole package together with AAA on the top, and then these companies, these corporations, would rate them, you know, AAA status, even though you had stocks in there that were garbage. So what the individuals eventually started doing was taking even more garbage stocks and piling them up on top of each other and having these different companies give them a AAA rating. So they got at least 90 to 93% ratings of AAA, and so they were selling junk bonds to people, and that's why you had the housing bubble, then you had the housing crash, you had a lot of people losing their homes, a lot of people were being evicted. Why? Because of the junk bonds that these devils pushed out there, because they saw a loophole where they could make money off the expense of the other people of the world, you know, of America, should I say. You know, so these devils don't give a shit about people. And let me just get this one here that just came to mind, this other precept. So I want to get into some of these precepts because of when I first watched this movie, Companyman. No, was it Companyman? No. It was Margin Call. Because in Margin Call, what they did was they had something called a fire sale. All right, so just bear with me 1 second while I get that. Fire sale. Let's see what comes up. All right. It says here, fire sale. A sale of goods remaining after the destruction of commercial premises by fire. All right. Then it says a sale of goods or assets at a very low price, typically when the seller is facing bankruptcy. And that's what they did. And when I watched this movie, this is the first precept that came to my mind, the parable of the unrighteous steward. All right. And Luke 16:1 says, and he said also unto his disciples, there was a certain rich man which had a steward. Right. The rich man would be the investor. Right. The steward would be the individual that would find the best stocks or the best place for this individual to invest his money in, so he can make more money, so that the steward can make money. And the same was accused unto him that he had wasted his goods. Right. And you see that when you watch these movies, because a lot of these different major corporations, what they do is you'll have certain companies that are created, and they'll get people on the phone, and they'll sweet talk them, and get money out of them. And pretty much what they're doing is ripping them off. That's what that movie The Beekeeper was about, with Jason Statham, right? You have Felicia Rashad in there, and they got her. She was an old woman, and then they got her to invest, and then they overpaid her, right, on purpose, so that she can in turn put in her, her passcode into the computer, give them back, the money, and then they ended up ripping her off for everything that she had. And she ended up killing herself. You see? So that's what these corporations do. It says, and he called him and said unto him, how is it that I hear this of thee? Give an account of thy stewardship, for thou mayest be no longer steward. So when these individuals started losing their jobs, they didn't know what to do. They don't know how to dig holes. They don't know what it is to have a honest job. All they know is how to rip people off. Right? It says, then the steward said within himself, what shall I do? For my Lord taketh away from me the stewardship. Their position was being taken from them. And you got to remember, these people were making $120,000 a year, $150,000 a year, $200,000 a year. On top of that, with bonuses. So you're talking about millionaires that lost everything overnight. Never did a hard work in their day, in their life. All they were known for is ripping people off. So what do you think he's going to do? I cannot dig. See, I don't know how to dig. I don't know how to be a carpenter. I don't know how to, the difference between an electrician and a plumber. I don't know how to do any of those things. To beg, I am ashamed, right? Because he's so used to having everything that when he walks past a homeless person, the homeless person asking for something, he just looks at him like, get the fuck out of here. So he knows he don't want to go into that status of begging, because he knows how he treated those people that were begging. I am resolved what to do, that when I am put out of the stewardship, they may receive me into their houses. So he's trying to figure out what he can do to keep his job. What could he do to make amends with the rich man so that he doesn't get kicked out of that position? So he called everyone unto his lord's So he called every one of his lord's debtors unto him, and said unto the first, how much owest thou unto my lord? How much money do you owe my lord? And he said, 100 measures of oil. And he said unto him, take thy bill, sit down quickly, and write 50. So what did he do in essence? Set up a fire sale, because he knew he was in danger of losing his job. So he set up a fire sale in order to, get some of his, master's money, so that he can save his job and save his hide. Then said he to another, how much owest thou? And he said, 100 measures of wheat. And he said unto him, take that bill and write 80 once again. And you'll see them negotiating. You say, give me 100 grand. Well, I'll give you 70. Well, no, give me 90. No, I'll give you 73. Well, give me 84. I'll give you, they're going back and forth until they come to a middle ground to where they're losing, but they're still gaining something. They're not losing it all. And the Lord commended the unjust steward, because he had done wisely, for the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. And who are the children of light? The Israelites. And the children of this world is Esau. and they know how to maneuver and manipulate, to be able to stay in that position that they need to be in. But Jake don't know how to please the Lord, to stay in the Lord's good graces. All right. Then it says, and I say unto you, make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when you fall, they may receive you into everlasting habitations. Right. You have some brothers that have individuals out there that they cool with, and if they run into hard times, the person don't know about the truth. They might be an Edomite. They might be another nation, but they're in good with them, to where if they falter on something, that heathen will come in and help them out. You see, that's why it says, make ye friends of the mammon of the world, of unrighteousness. All right, so he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much, and he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. If therefore you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to you your trust, the true riches, which the true riches are what? This truth. All right, so that's the point. The point is, the children of this world are wiser than the children of light. All right. Now in Isaiah chapter 14, before we read that, let's go to Ecclesiastes 12 and let's read 3 again. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Why? Because they're going to see a pattern in the economy that's going to send them for a loophole, for a loop. Matter of fact, let me get this other one that just came to mind. I think it's Nahum. Or is it, let me see, Zephaniah. Yep, that's it. So going back, it says, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few. The grinders are a representation of work. All right. Grinders is a word, tachan, to grind, crush, right. That being their employment, see? To be a concubine, that was their employment. But you also had the grinding mill, because you had the grinder was a millstone. All right. Images. And this is a millstone. And the millstone will go around and crush the wheat or crush whatever was in there. All right. And that's a representation of work. So the work is going to be low. The employment is going to be low. Why? Because the economy is not going to be doing so good. And the people that are at the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak, are going to be the first ones to lose their jobs. And they show you that in this movie, The Company Man. And also, and this here, they show you how they clip a whole bunch of people, but keep some of them. And it goes by seniority, and it also goes by if somebody's a good earner or not. All right, it says, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Right, the ones that are looking out of the windows are the ones looking for future investments. Let me see what the window says. The word is arabah. Lattice, window, sluice, chimney, lattice opening where smoke escapes. Just trying to see if they got any goodies in here. Yeah, don't really go too much into it. Let me see. But to see what investments they can make to make more money so that they can keep their job. In so many words. And those that look out of the window be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And you've seen a lot of that back in 2008. Seen a lot of businesses close, a lot of foreclosures, a lot of, layoffs. People got laid off left and right. Got their pink slips, lost their jobs. people on Wall Street lost their jobs. And you have situations where people have so much invested in that stock market that when they lose, they end up killing themselves. It says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird. Right. In other words, early in the morning, because he's normally used to getting up to go to work. And all the daughters of music shall be brought low, which we just went into that. The creativity's gone. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, right? Because these are prophecies that are coming to pass, that are shutting this place down. All right. It says, and fears shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. Right. You're gonna have mourners in the streets, and because these hard times are gonna cause more crime to happen. And you notice that now when you look at Jake out there, when they interview Jake on the streets now, with this whole migrant situation, you got Jake talking about, them fucking, they pretty much getting at the Latin tribes for coming over here, but it's more than just the Latin tribes coming over here. You have so-called Chinese, so-called Arabs, you have so-called East Indians, other nation Hamites coming over here. But they ain't talking nothing about them because they're not in the news. The ones that are in the news are the Latin tribes, because they're trying to sow that discord between the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. You see? Or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel be broken at the cistern. Right? Because all of these businesses eventually are gonna run out, so to speak, for lack of better words. Because that's what Esau wants. Esau wants a society and a world where he controls everything. And this is why the whole system is going digital. It's not just money going digital. It's the whole system. From how you get to work, how you enter the job. And they got a lot of people used to having badges, where they would swipe it over, this pad in order to get into the building where they work at. This is all done on purpose, because this is all setting up the infrastructure for the MOTB, which is the micro C-HIP. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return to the Most High who gave it. Vanity of vanity, saith the preacher. All is vanity, right? So let's go to Zephaniah 1:11. How ye inhabitants of Maktesh. Maktesh would be like back then the Wall Street, where they would trade and sell silver. It was a merchant city, a merchant street. For all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. Yeah, so it's gonna get hard, man. It's gonna get harder. But the beautiful thing about it is that the elect are gonna be taken care of. Isaiah chapter 19 and 14. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst of thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work. Therefore, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit, neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Yeah, because everything's going to fail. Because these devils, these international banking families, they're causing the implosion to happen. When you go back to John Todd and the John Todd confession tapes, one of the things he said is that these international bankers, they want to collapse the economic market of the world, but still be so financially stable to withstand it. And the reason why they're doing it is because they want to reset the system. And when they reset the system, everybody that when it goes online fully, then everybody will be required to have, the micro C-HIP in them, whether it's in their hand, in their forehead, in their leg, on their back, on their butt cheek, or wherever. Because this is the system that they're setting up in place. This is why everything's going digital. This is why you have, AI everywhere. And AI is taking over a whole lot of jobs, man. It's putting people out of business because they don't have to pay them robots. Them robots don't take breaks. They don't have to go to the bathroom. They don't have to go on maternity leave. They don't have to take lunch. So you know how much money they're going to make running these things 24/7? If they desire to do so, all they got to do is just keep up on the maintenance, and that's it. All right. So James 5:1, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. And rightly so, because you've caused the world to be in misery. You know, by constantly oppressing people and putting this heavy debt upon the population of the world. It says your riches are corrupted. The way you got them is corrupted. And your garments are moth-eaten. Meaning the way you got your riches, the way you have your society set up, it was all through deceit. It was all through fraud. That's where the Lord said he would spread shameful spewing on your glory. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. And what is the rust of them? Because gold and silver don't really rust, but the rust of it is a representation of how you got, you got this. The means to the end, how you got the goods, how you got those riches. It's going to all witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire, because your whole empire is going to go up in smoke. You have heaped treasures together for the last days, and that's what they did. They set up a nest egg for themselves so that when the whole system collapses, they're going to be good. Or so they think. But the same bunkers are where they're going to be at certain cases when the Lord, Lord's will we be the elect, and the Lord bring us back down to the earth, we're going to be kicking in them doors and pulling them devils out and bringing them right into slavery. And the very first job that they're going to have is to, some of them are going to put up signs where dead bodies are at. The next group is going to come through and dig graves and bury those dead bodies. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, right? And it's kept back by fraud. And it's crying because people are out here catching hell. Jake is out here catching hell, and they're crying to the Lord. Let me see, fraud, apostereo, to defraud, rob, despoil, right? Because even when you dealing with wages, the wages that Jake is getting, the wages that brothers get when they get paid, those are not real wages, because it's worthless, really. The only power it has is the belief that people have in it, that it still has, purchasing power. All right? That's defrauding, the laborer from his wages. So you got to pay for all of that. It says, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, which is the Lord of the armies. You have lived in pleasure on the earth. Who the fuck is this talking about? Hey, don't the parable of the rich man, Lazarus and the rich man, says that they fared sumptuously every day. They have more than heart could wish. This ain't talking about your average, Edomite Joe six-pack. It says, and been wanton, right? You've been undisciplined. You have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter, right? And you fare sumptuously every day. You have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. Why? Because Jake doesn't have the power to do anything about it. They just got to take it until the Lord comes back and set things right. All right. So, if you get a chance, you could watch some of these movies. Margin Call, good movie. The Company Men, excellent movie. The Big Short, good movie also. I was watching the Elder Malcolm's video last night until this morning. They did a commentary, him and the other brother, on the movie Civil War. I said it was really good. I was watching that, but hey, man, see, all of these things that you see happening are all those birth pains. And then, the harder shit gets, and the more interference the government and their militaries and all that get into, the more it pushes Esau to get ready for a civil war. And all of this stuff is going to lead to total anarchy in these streets, which is what the international bankers want. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom. And Tawada for tuning in.